On our last video, we debunked the myth that a person's longevity comes mostly from their genetic predisposition. Most studies say that genes contribute to about only 20 to 30% of our lifespan variation. The rest? Well, the rest comes from the behavioral and environmental factors that we can directly influence. That's great news, isn't it? So let's put it this way. If your body is the hardware, your genes are the software. The original code that came pre-installed when you were born. Every cell in your body contains a complete copy of that code written in the DNA. It's made up of about 20,000 genes that act as instructions for everything in your body. How it builds muscle, repairs damage, digests food, responds to stress, and even how you age. You inherit half of your DNA from your mother and half of your DNA from your father. This inherited set of instructions is called your genotype. It's the blueprint that defines your biological potential. But here's the fascinating part. Your genotype is only the starting point. The way those genes actually show up in your body, the way they are expressed in your height, your metabolism, hair color, skin tone, and even your risk for disease is called your phenotype. Think of it like this. If your genes are a piano, your phenotype is the music being played. Every person's piano has the same basic keys, but the way it's played, the rhythm, the volume, and the melody depends on how you live your life. Your choices, environment, diet, sleep, stress, and even your thoughts will define the keys being played, the ones that kept silence, therefore, the melody of your life. That's where the concept of epigenetics comes in. The word literally means above genetics, and it describes the system that tells your body which genes to turn on or off and when. Epigenetics doesn't change your DNA code, it influences how your cells read that code. Think of it like switches sitting on top of your DNA, controlling whether a particular instruction is followed or silenced. In this context, you might have heard of DNA methylation. It is one of the tools within epigenetics that regulates gene expression. This is more of an advanced concept that we can discuss further in the future, but I thought it was worth bringing up now as it opens the door for an interesting discussion. The difference between chronological and biological age. DNA methylation patterns change throughout life, which makes them a great way for scientists to determine the person's biological age. Some genes that are more active when you're young, for example, can eventually become less so as we age, and vice versa. And the activation of other DNA sections as we grow older can contribute to increased risk of developing chronic diseases that are generally associated with the aging process. Epigenetics, however, can influence these methylation patterns, meaning that we can foster younger gene expression patterns even as we age. This can be described as our biological age, how well or poorly our body functions regardless of the number of years we have lived. You see, I'm not talking about one's chronological age, which follows a natural rhythm from the moment we're born until we die. Instead, we are considering how their body is performing. But let's get back to epigenetics. These DNA switches respond to your environment and behavior. The food you eat, the air you breathe, how you sleep, how much you move, your relationships, and even your level of stress all leave chemical marks on your genes. Those marks, called epigenetic modifications, can either promote health or dysfunction. For example, eating nutrient-rich anti-inflammatory foods can activate genes that protect against disease, while chronic stress, smoking, or processed foods can flip on genes linked to inflammation or aging. So here's an empowering truth. Genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. When scientists studied identical twins, people who share the exact same DNA, they noticed that as the twins aged and lived different lifestyles, their risk for disease, body composition, and even how long they lived began to differ dramatically. The genes were the same. What changed was how those genes were expressed. Research from institutions like Harvard, Stanford, and the NIH have found that genetic accounts for only about 20 to 30% of your longevity. The rest is influenced by lifestyle, environment, and behavioral choices. That means that the majority of how you age and how long you live in good health is within your control. Let's go back to the piano metaphor. You can change the keys, but you can learn to play a better song. So what are the main conductors of this genetic orchestra? What factors most strongly influence the epigenetic switches tied to longevity? Scientists have consistently pointed to a few core drivers. The first one, nutrition. Whole nutrient-dense foods support proper gene expression, reduce inflammation, and fuel cellular repair. Diets rich in plants, omega-3s, and antioxidants promote longevity genes, while processed foods and sugars suppresses them. Next comes physical activity. Regular movement increases protective molecules like B, D, and F for brain health and boosts mitochondrial function, the powerhouses that keep your cells firing. Then comes sleep. During deep sleep, your body activates genes for repair, immune system balance, and memory formation while silencing stress-related pathways. Stress management is very important as well, because chronic stress floods your system with cortisol, which can silence longevity-promoting genes and speed up aging. Practices like mindfulness, deep breathing, and time in nature reverse that trend. Your environment also counts. Clean air, sunlight, meaningful social connections, and exposure to green spaces all positively affect gene regulation and mental health. And purpose and mindset. Even mindset plays a measurable role. Studies show that people with strong purpose and positive life outlooks have lower inflammation and longer telomeres, another metric of slower aging we can talk about in the future. So epigenetics help explain how two people with the same risk factors can age in completely different ways. One person's lifestyle tells their genes to build resilience, another's tells them to break down. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Every day you're either signaling to your body to build health or to dismantle it. Now let's talk about external factors that can affect your gene expression without changing your DNA. This list includes things like pollutants, heavy metals, pesticides, and endocrine, read hormonal disruptors such as BPA found in plastics. They can interfere with how your genes are expressed, often increasing oxidative stress and inflammation. This is why choosing clean foods, minimizing exposure to toxins, and supporting your body's natural detoxification through hydration and antioxidants is so crucial. What's even more fascinating is that some research suggests that epigenetic changes can sometimes be passed down. Your lifestyle choices today, what you eat, how you manage stress, whether you exercise, could influence not only you and your health, but the health of future generations. This is an active area of research known as transgenerational epigenetics. So while your genes give you a certain script, you can say you're the editor. You can highlight the parts that make you thrive and cross out the parts that hold you back. Every healthy meal, every workout, every good night of sleep is a message to your DNA saying, keep me strong, keep me young. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to change everything at once. Longevity is not about reaching 120 years old, it's about adding quality to the years you already have. Your genes gave you the instrument, but your habits, environment, and mindset decide how well it plays. In the end, you're both the pianist and the composer of your own biological symphony. Your DNA sets the rhythm, but your daily choices write the melody of your life. As we learn more about how our bodies work, we might come to the conclusion that some habits need changing, but we can make those changes into a pleasant routine that one will enjoy pursuing each day. It's not about perfection, it's about the consistent choices that will help you lead a healthier life.